Team Junkyard Dog here today, and we have 2 days to get ready for our competition, and this is the state of our battle gear. That's right, we have not touched it ever since our last fight in Oak Hill, Florida. It's just been crazy busy with life, and I have to have Tyrone ready in 2 days, and this is him right here. Here's his new chassis. We're extending his chassis. We're going with what I call Tyrone XL in an effort to use a heavier battle blade, the Bloodsport blade. Got that on Palm Beach bots. This is the one I was running before. This is AR 400 steel and a lot heavier than the titanium one. And another thing I'm trying to make weight for the blade is I'm trying to run N20 motors and get them attached to these little motor plates. But the problem is, if I torque them down any at all, it puts the gearbox in a bind and the wheels don't want to spin. What we're going to be doing is I'm going to get a scale and try some different weight configurations so I can figure out exactly what components I can use for Tyrone for this next competition, and then we're going to get them set up and ready to go in record time. Let's get to it. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is start weighing components, and might as well put a battery on there. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to weigh regular Tyrone, and now I'm going to throw a lid on there. Well, that's 1 pound in itself, according to this scale. This scale is not accurate, I'm assuming. Oh, jeez. Okay, so we're going to add Tyrone. He's 11 ounces. This is a stupid scale. This is actually a baby scale, so it locks on to the weight really quick. Okay, so all that's 14.7 ounces. Let's find some tires. We got a lid, and if that will make weight, then we could squeak them in, no problem. But we also have titanium armor. Where's your tires, Tyrone? I swear, kids these days. All right, so I now have a top plate. I got some wheel hubs and rings. This is a Beetle weight tire, but it's the same size as 2 of his usual tires. Titanium armor, Bloodsport blade, and just a little 2S battery pack. Let's clear the scale, and we'll put it all in there at once. And we are 0.9 ounces over. 16.9 ounces. Tyrone's got to go on a little diet. If I needed to, I could leave this armor off, which I really don't want to, because it really does a good job of protecting the motor and the front of the chassis. Clear it again. Put all this stuff on there without the armor, and that's 16.2 ounces. Now I'm thinking that the normal chassis that I run could potentially be a little bit heavier because it has more infill than the chassis I have here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and pull all of his guts out, and then we're going to see what he's going to weigh. And another big change I'm making too is I have these big Chungus speed controls in here that were some cheap ones from Amazon, and they were set up for 7 volt. They worked extremely well until I put a third ESC in the system. And once I put a third ESC in the system, for some reason they would try to fault, and I'd have to pull my little key out and put it back in a few times until it set right and I had proper drive. So you would shut the box, and I'd only have drive on one side, and we'd have to open the box back up, re-safety the bot, pull the plug, stick it back in, and it would be fine. But I do have the tiny servos from FingerTech that I'll be switching this to, so that's going to save me some weight as well. So to save you the breakdown, I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to pull all his guts out, strip him down to the chassis, and then we're going to reweigh. Okay, so we got Tyrone stripped down to his guts. I'm just going to put all these little screws and fittings and plates and mounts, just toss them in here. And what I'm going to do, of course, is I'm going to remove the 2 speed controllers out with the old. We're going to be in with the new. If you want to see a size comparison, this is the dongle with the old ESCs, and one ESC is bigger than both tiny ESCs. Just to put it in perspective, so we're going to take all this stuff. This should be a complete bot. We're going to turn the scale on and cross our fingers. Okay, we are at 0 grams. How did I get on grams? Let's go to ounces, and 15.9 ounces. Oh, that is amazing. It's actually very shocking to me. I didn't think I was going to make weight. But as you can see, I have the equivalent of 2 tires, the titanium armor, the Bloodsport AR 400 blade, the 2 FingerTech hardware and hubs, 7 volt battery. I would like to get it back to 11 volt. I used to run it at 11 volt, but if you spin this too fast, you don't get the big hits. It's just going to skip off. Then we have the weapon motor, weapon ESC, and we have the receiver and the 2 FingerTech speed controllers. We have a green light, so it should be a very simple build to get him ready. All I got to do is basically just bolt everything in this chassis. And the last competition, I bent this motor plate. I don't know if you can see it reflecting off the light, but there's a wave to it, so I have to find a way to strengthen this. And other than that, I just got to put her together. Okay, so let's get a little bit of an update on Tyrone. You can see that I did not use heat shrink, regrettably, but I will put electrical tape on it. Electrical tape fixes everything. But I have the new speed controls all soldered in. I got the connectors on, got the motor connectors and the power connectors. I used to never run connectors at all. I used to just solder everything 100% until I had 3 robots at a competition, and I was trying to do 2 chassis swaps for my 2 sons at Maker Faire, and I realized then I need connectors. Anyway, that's going to take care of his guts. I'm just going to tape these ends up. I'm going to plug everything in. I'm not sure if I got the polarity exactly right on the motors, but if not, I can just reverse that in the controller itself. I don't really sweat it too much. I'm not making any changes to the weapon part except for a stiffer plate here because, like I said, I did warp that plate. And if you see this, that's right, I have a FingerTech switch. I finally broke down and quit making my own, or quit using the little keys, I call them. This was my key before. You just plug that in, fold it over, and tape it down. And we lost 3 fights, believe it or not, at the last competition due to key failures, getting knocked out and things like that. So those are a thing of the past. We're running all FingerTech switches now. We're running the tiny ESCs because unless something radical happens, you can run these in Beetles, or we run them in Beetles and ant weights with no issues whatsoever. And I've tried so many cheap speed controllers of different configurations like these, and you either have to double pump the brake to get it to reverse because you can't turn the brake off, or you just have some kind of other issue. Like with these worked really well, but they're just huge. They're big for an ant weight, and even though they have no brake and you can go straight forward to reverse, you're limited to 9 volts. In LiPo land, that's 7.2 volts. I tried to put an 11 volt on one of these and it popped instantly. So there was 0 tolerance for that. So with that being said, I'm going to continue working on Tyrone to get him ready for this weekend. It's just really going to be now just a matter of bolting everything in the chassis, and he should be good to go. And like I said, this is the new chassis that I printed, and this is with a different PLA. It's a softer PLA, so it flexes more and does not crack. If you're interested, just leave a comment and I'll get the exact name of it. To put it in perspective, the black chassis is, you can see, about 1.5 inches or so shorter than the green chassis. And the way I compensated for weight is I just went with a lighter infill because of a better material. And the reason why I had to do that, because with the Bloodsport blade, I was going to be cutting my own wheels off. Like I did in the last competition. I was cutting the front edges of my wheels the whole time I was running. But with the Tyrone XL chassis, there's 0 chance of this blade hitting my tires. I'm really excited for that to come into play. So all we have to do now is let's put Tyrone together and give him a spin.